Like, totally!
Be forced to yield. You have certainly become strong.
I couldn't let you down.
When was the last time I felt this good? If I'd known it would be so sublime, I would have died sooner.
You look exhausted.
You're here?
Always have been. Not that you ever noticed me.
It's not my fault if you don't speak up. You really do never change.
You're right. Sorry.
It's all right. I'm glad you came.
Let's get going.
Where to?
Anywhere you want, as long as we're together.
If you say so, there is somewhere I've wanted to go with you.
Farewell.
Happy Wednesday, everybody! Yet another video from Azure News, your unbiased, uncommercialized, and uncensored, for the most part, news reporter. That's me. So, what is the curse of the moon? Well, sometimes people fall in love. Sometimes people desire strength. And sometimes people, are infatuated and lust for fortune. There's all the in-betweens, the people who are gluttonous, the people, all the sins, yada, 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 right? But I'm just going to point to those three because I find that it is a vain thing to pretend that things are forever and that they are deserveth to you in exclusivity. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about it, the beauty of a woman is for your children. That's what it's there for. Like, you're only going to get impressed by looking at, beautiful women for so long until, does it actually serve a purpose? Does it mean anything? And if you're willing to commit, if you're ready to commit, if you have, the assets and the capability to commit. And I think that, people have to think pluralistically. Like, they can't just think about themselves and their wife. They also have to think about, the future of their child, their offspring, the house they're going to grow up in, the proximity to, the wife's family. Because, I was raised like that, to value the mother's family over, well, my family, I guess. I don't have a problem with that. No offense, family, if you're listening to my YouTube. No, they're not. Get out of here if you are. Get out of here. Listen to my YouTube videos? No, you're not. Yo, listen to this. No, but really, you don't want to be messing around with your family, to divide you between, you and your wife's family and stuff. And even though this is coming from me, the guy who says, you should have a bunch of different kids from different women and stuff, that was only because of the recent rise of, recent events. So let's talk about, I'd say, and they're all unrelated. I just want to, point them out as, being these things that are in, the limelight as this, telltale sign of where we're at in this world. First, let's talk about Saikun, okay, or whatever his name is. The guy who looks like he's part of a K-pop band. No offense. No offense, dude. You kind of do look like that. You look too clean. Get bruises. What happened to people with they got punched in the mouth, and then they look like that? It's yeah, you got punched in the mouth, didn't you? This guy probably never. No, I'm kidding. But he looks like you know what I mean, your typical boy band member from those K-pop bands or whatever. Anyways, I want to just briefly bring them up because, and people are gonna get offended. Some people are gonna get offended. My viewers, my 18 subscribers might get offended. By the way, if you're not watching my YouTube videos behind the VPN, you're not a real fan. I don't consider you a real fan. I don't want anything. Yo, I hear. Oh, I'm gonna make another video about that because I gotta talk about the curse of the moon first. Fucking talk about Carney and Canadian politics. Ugh. There's a time and place for that, and I don't feel like talking about that now. It's like 15-minute video. I'm just gonna hit the elliptical, and I suggest to any like men out there. For women, I think you're just gorgeous. Like, you know, you don't need to really do too much. If anything, if you're listening to this, whatever, just chill. But for us guys, we gotta like burn that. Oh, for me, I gotta burn that weight. Well, like, yeah, like this is gonna be like a 15-minute segment video. So, Saikun is like a very important case study, and I know this is gonna offend like a lot of people for me saying this, as to why you should mind your own business and not care too much about the affairs of others. Because it's just like, can you imagine? You click on a video and it says, yeah, he finished inside me, right? Obviously, this is like Asmongold, clickbaiting or whatever's editors or this or that. But I was just curious, like, what the fuck is this video all about, by the way? So I see it, and I'm just like, God damn it, I wasted my time. This is like some personal ass shit. It's like, yo, you're willing to make me believe that he committed essay on you, or he like took advantage of you, and you're like jumping in his hotel and shit. Shut the fuck up, man. Initially, I said no. And I'm all about believing all victims and stuff like that. But here's the thing, right? It's going to come to the point where you're never going to be allowed to do or say or even think anything without, this shadow creeping behind your back. And it's this voracious kind of like, I wouldn't say heroicism. I would call it like moral high ground, if you will, that everybody just loves to take, especially against complete strangers that they know nothing about. Because we gotta talk about the other one, right? Obviously, all these stories are completely unrelated, but I'm just like, just gonna bring them together to talk about the curse of the moon. So, on the other side of the spectrum, like this is a guy you really have to worry about, but nobody's talking about him at all. Nobody's talking about. Oh, yeah, obviously YouTubers are talking about him, and like the people who make videos about him. But like, I think like this guy needs more recognition because he's fucked. Some random ass guy on TikTok is talking about like how he's all alone and like how he's like in his 40s and shit, and girls don't want to talk to him, and like he's just like angry. He wants to take out his anger and hurt women and this and that. And like, what does this have to do with Saikun, right? Like, yo, this is completely unrelated. Like, these are consensual versus like a guy who's like, talking about. Thank God he has not so far, according to, as far as I know, like committed essay, but he's talking about doing that, talking about getting violent, talking about like being ugly in high school, nobody liked me, this and that. It's like, yeah, same dude, same. Although to be honest, I could have done it to myself. To be fair, I was playing a lot of video games, but yeah, oh shit, some things never change. Shit. But and like this is a case study as the like how Saikun is one of those what you would call unprotected minorities and shit. It's like, oh, you're Asian, you're successful, you're smart, you're wealthy apparently. You're you don't commit crimes. You shouldn't have cheated, you fucking Asian. You fucking chink. Like, yo, you know how lefties do that whole U-turn and shit? It's just like, yo, the second you cross that line, they fucking whip out all the fucking, yo, racist ass, yo, you Sino, whatever. Ching chong chong. Going to town on this guy, yo, man. Yo, it's over for you're supposed to be like, I'm supposed to be the Asian boyfriend. Not the South Asian. So into my next story. My next story is this, right? Now, this story is dealing with the whole aspect of like, you know how the difference between psycho is people minding, not minding their business, and then like with this guy is people like, not minding his business, right? And then this third one is the false accuser, Vitali has gone out of his way to try to like, get another episode of the pedophile hunters. He's basically trying to like, fucking teeth man's off of Gideon, because Gideon is basically the new, you know, um, pedophile hunter, like for real, trying to copy his styles and shit. And this guy's on like drugs and shit, just trying to accuse this brown man's. And like, good on Aspen Gold for helping clear this guy's name, because it's like it's one of these stories that even though you could argue that it's seen its conclusion within like maybe a couple days, a week, with Aspen Gold, his reach and shit is like boom, just instantly the same day. Oh, you know what's up, that this is like this is like that. And I do feel bad for the guy because it's like his entire like life was put on like display and shit. I don't know like what was revealed. It's like some things. None of my business basically, right? And it's that idea that like when you really think about it, right? The people accusing Saikun, the people who don't want, and then the incel himself who like wants to hurt women, and now this like Vitaly and all these his crew members trying to insult this brown man's of like some pedophile activities and shit, right? It's all the same curse, the curse of the moon, the curse of wanting to be loved, the wealth, the whole like aspect of it all, like the power, like the curse that they can't escape from it no matter how hard they try. And this is how it inevitably ends for like all three of them, right? So the people who are going out accusing this Saikun guy of like shit and stuff, and it could come out later that like he did some really bad shit. I don't give a fuck, man. It's not my business, okay? And if he did something bad, like okay, fine, whatever, that's bad, I guess. Why do we need to know about this? And then again, like this other guy, like I think everybody needs to know about this guy. Guys like him are gonna be the kinds of guys you're gonna start seeing more and more of, but they're not gonna be like stupid about it and post on the internet because that's just being stupid, They're just gonna like keep it in, hold it inside, and just like let it burn with like instant rage, and then something bad might happen, God forbid, but here we are in the day and age where girls have to give it up to guys, where see, like I gotta go on the elliptical soon. I gotta, just burn off tons and tons of calories. So that's what I'm gonna start doing, because I think that having mercy on myself is violence against not only like women but the human race, because they deserve better. Like, what's the point of me looking at beautiful women if I can't be somewhat attractive to look at? Like, I think like the biggest problem with guys is that they think they can be as good as girls in terms of like the attractive thing. Like, I've made peace with it. Like, my looks are advertisement for how my kids are going to look. Probably, obviously, they're gonna look better, but like the features that they're gonna get, the eyelashes, the hair, skin, the fact that I still have a lot of the things that I had, like looks wise when I was a teenager, early 20s, all that shit. Like, really nothing's changed about me. I actually got a pimple on my face. Like, I was shaving and then I just like had a pimple on my like cheek, a little small one. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? like 40. I'm gonna be 41 this year. Like, the hell? But that's how it is. It's like you have life for a little while, and then you give it up because there's things out there that could just draw you in, like other people's lives, the drama surrounding it, the fact that you don't have a woman, or like watching a guy crash and burn, like probably people like laugh about that shit, or like the idea of like you want to accuse people of being pedophiles, and you're just like caught up in the whole aspect of being a hero, even though technically Vitaly is like one of those guys who's kind of fucked up. You like did mushrooms and attacked a woman and shit. Look that shit up. All right, take it easy, everybody. And I'm gonna make another video anyway, so whatever.